Hey guys, welcome back to Jason and Joni Builds. Kind of have a special day today. This weekend we reached 1,000 subscribers. We didn't think that would ever really happen, but I wanted to bring the girls out. We all wanted to tell you thank you in person, and I say in person all together. And we do appreciate you guys watching and continuing to watch, and I know my girls do too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So what we're going to do today is sort of tear into our 302 here. I know that our videos have been kind of scattered. We're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but right now I've got several different parts that are on the way, and so I'm just trying to keep something going, try to keep some content, and keep the Bronco moving forward. I would like to tear apart the engine for the Bronco, which is 302, and I think I told you guys earlier that I bought this from a friend of mine. It was out of a project truck, and it wasn't supposed to have a whole lot of miles on it. And I hate to be right here and not just tear it down and just check it out. So we're going to do that and make sure we don't need anything else. I have a Lunati camshaft for it. It's got a slight bump to it. I can get the specs out a little bit later, or either I'll just kind of put them in on the screen. I think it's somewhere around a 480, 485 lift. So it'll be a good mile street cam. And I fitted all the serpentine belt system from the LTD that we pulled out of the woods, and you guys saw that video. And the parts are nasty looking, the engine's kind of nasty looking, but I just want to fit it. We'll pull it apart, we'll clean everything up, paint it, put it together. So as you can see, everything's there. I checked the measurements from the front of the fan to the engine, and it's no wider than your standard Bronco 302. This just has a little bit better belt setup on it. So let's just tear it apart, see what we got. This is probably going to be a sped up portion of the video of me just disassembling the front of the motor, all the accessories and getting all that removed. So there's not a whole lot to talk about it. This is 84 LTD Crown Victoria serpentine belt system. Alright, so guys, I'll let you in on a little secret. When I was fitting all this stuff, I started fitting it yesterday. I was just out here. Joni had some stuff to do. This is one reason I want to tear it down. Timing chain has got a little bit of slack in it, and it kind of concerns me. Before I put this thing all together, I believe I'm going to do something with that. But let's just get a measurement and see what I have here. I have not done that yet, so you guys will find out as soon as I do. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my chain is tight on one side, and that way all the slack is on the other side of the camshaft. And so basically, you just take your bar and you can roll your cam. So I'm going to pull it all on this side towards me. So this is tight now, and all this is loose. So I'm going to take a tape measure, and I'm just going to push the chain in as far as I can here, and just find let's see if I can, let's get it in here where I can see. I don't know if you guys have got the same vantage I do. So right now this side of the chain is on the 2-inch mark, And now if I keep my tape still and pull this back, it's a 1/2 inch of deflection. Actually, just a grunt over. And I believe a 1/2 inch is really max that you want to have on your timing chain. So that's not good. So I'm going to buy a timing chain for it, and I can actually feel on the gear it's sharp. And if Joni can kind of zoom in here a little bit, if you'll look at this leading edge on this side of the teeth, you can actually see the wear pattern. It's actually wearing that chain, or the gear. This makes me even more sure that I want to pull the heads off and just take a look at the heads. I can go ahead and look at my valve guide seals. I can make sure my valves are in good shape. Make sure the cylinders, pistons look okay. I don't know that I'm gonna pull the pistons yet. We'll look at the bore and see how it feels, see how it looks. But it's just a shame to be this far into it and not spend a little time. It's only a gasket set. If I don't replace anything, it's just gaskets. And I would rather spend a day kind of just resealing it anyways is great, so you don't have all the leaks. Let's move forward. Let's go ahead and get the intake pulled off, and we'll get the intake pulled, valve covers, and then we'll remove the heads. Just gonna go ahead and get our distributor cap and wires pulled off. That's not all caked up or anything. That looks good. It doesn't look like it has 1,000,000 miles on it. Yeah. We'll remove the distributor, and then we'll remove the intake. Then we'll get our push rods removed, and then we'll pull the heads. I can tell you, I just pull that distributor out, it's got points in it. We're not going to stay with points. I've had enough issues with points over the years. They'll run fine. You get 10 miles down the road and they'll start spitting, sputtering, and we're not doing points. You guys see this old original, cast iron intake. I've got an Edelbrock Performer that we're going to put on it. We're going to get rid of this heavy thing. So it's like, good Lord, we can save some weight with this thing. Oh, that looks good. Garbage in there. Make sure I clean out. All that's inside that water jacket. Boy, that's not good. So I'm gonna have to do some cleaning there. Because this is the bad thing about using a used engine. I'm gonna buy a new radiator. I'll have a brand new radiator. And if I don't clean this stuff out first, all this is gonna get in your new radiator and start plugging fins. And these old 302s have got an issue staying cool anyways. And I don't want anything to start plugging up my radiator and start giving me cooling problems. So this is something else we need to fix. So this is a good thing. I'm glad we're doing this, even though I was hesitant. Usually you pull these out, you want to keep your lifters and your push rods separated so you know what cylinder they came off, so they go back. Well, I'm not going to reuse the camshaft. I'm not going to reuse the lifters. So when you see me just pulling it all out haphazardly, you know why I'm doing that. Because there's no sense to keep them separated. What you can do to do a quick test and see if your push rods are good, you just kind of roll them on each other, and you would be able to see one that was wobbling. These look good. Those are good. Break all my head studs loose. Okay, I've got my bolts out. Feel a ridge. There's not a huge amount of deposits. Well, that's not as encouraging. You have oil sitting in on top of your pistons. So kind of what that's telling me is I've probably got a valve stem seal leaking down a little bit. I don't feel any ridge. I don't see any scarring so far. Okay, I'm gonna pull the lifters out real quick and we can kind of see what. Is that a mosquito? Now we can remove our cam gear and get the timing chain off and pull the cam out. So these you can usually walk out together. Want to try to take care of taking these things out so you don't beat up your bearings. It's not the easiest thing to do. I don't see anything just terrible, but you can just tell the cam has got some wear on it. And now I need to check my bearings before we put it all back together and make sure the bearings are still in decent shape. We've gone this far, guys. Let's go ahead and tear it down. Get the oil pan off of it and see what we got. Johnny wanted me to remind you guys, you make sure you drain your oil, and I didn't tell you, I should have, but you'll have a big mess if you don't. And this is good too. We can completely strip this thing where we can paint it, make it pretty. Pretty's good, but I want it to run good first. So you come look at the skirts, the piston skirts, but you can still see the milling marks on the pistons. So that's good. I'm glad to see that. Because looking at some of the freeze plugs and all, you can tell the engine has been into. Look like it may be a remanufactured engine. It's a 74 date code. So, and the casting says it came from a 1974 Falcon. So we know it's what block it is, and that tells us what flywheel we'll need. So I can make sure I buy the right one for the AOD. Let's pull a main cap and just take a look and see what they look like. Then we'll wrap this video up. This little impact driver is worth its weight in gold. So we got Oh, crap. That's not what you want to see. You don't want to see the copper in a bearing. I'm trying not to say ugly words. So we're going to rebuild the engine and make it really nice. Heck, I mean, really, guys, that's not something you want to see. You don't want to see copper in your bearings. So let's add to the list on this Bronco. We're going to do a rebuild now.
I think we're going to need a bigger receipt box.
Yeah, the budget has been blown on this one for sure. Well, you got to do it right. I'm not comfortable looking at that. So we'll tear the motor down. I'll hone the block. We'll get new cam bearings put in it. Just go ahead and do that. And find out what bearings are in this. Make sure this thing hasn't been ground. We'll check the pistons out. See what the pistons look like. The skirts look good, but boy, at this point, I don't know. You want to look at a piston, Julie?
No,
You curious?
no.
I
I
after
think
seeing this.
we have found enough surprises.
Well, we're almost there. We might as well look at one more. Let's pull a piston.
I don't want to know.
I don't know. We'll just knock one out, and more than likely, whatever shape it's in, the rest will be in the same shape. So let's pray for good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull this front piston out. We'll look at the bearing as we remove it. Make sure we keep the caps together. Before I do that, let me make sure it's been marked so I know that it goes back together correctly. Yeah, 1 and 1 right here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so they've been marked. Boy, look how easy that come off. That's always a great sign. Not. Shoot. There again, guys. There's copper. Copper in that bearing. There you go. Alright. Jeez. That's the other side. All copper. Okay, guys. Look at this piston. You guys, feel free to chime in. If you look how clean that piston is. I'm talking about it is really, really nice. You still see the machine marks in it. Of course, you can see it had some blow by up here around the rings. But I'm really surprised at how well the pistons look. Rework it. I need to find out what bore it is. Usually we'll sand off the top of the piston. It'll say if it's a standard bore, 10, 20, 30 over, so we know what to order. But we gotta go do some soul searching and some internet searching and find out what we need to do here. Alright, here's the head, guys. The water openings are kind of blinding over a little bit with crust and everything else. You see that one? So, but I guess I'm gonna pull the valves too, and I won't do that in this video. I'll pull the valves and we'll lap those in, put new valve guide seals in it, and try to make sure all that's where it needs to be. It's about pretty typical for this Bronco. I think everything on this Bronco, even though this engine didn't come with it, but everything I've bought for this Bronco has been wore out. So, yeah, we have a new Dana 30 now up front. The 9-inch Ford's all new. So we'll go through this engine and just I just want it right. I would hate to get it put together, crank it up, and go drive it a little bit, and this thing starts smoking. And it's just not worth it. It's all the time and effort when I'm this far down, we can just test it out and check it out. My parts should be here next week, and we're gonna start building a tire carrier to go on this bumper. And I got some pretty neat plans, some parts that I had custom made at a shop with a plasma cutter. Drew some neat parts, met some real neat people, so we can show you some things that you can do yourself. But appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Thanks again for the 1,000 subscribers. And drop us a line on jasonandjonibuilds@gmail.com if you ever have questions, comments, concerns. So you guys take care.